welcome to VB in Conversation. Today I am joined by Prajit Nanu, co-founder and CEO of Nium. Prajit, welcome.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. So we're going to be talking to you today about not only your successes with Nium, but also how Singapore helped that success happen and the influence Singapore had on that effectively. So I can see Nium, the leader in real-time global payments. What does that mean in real terms? What is Nium? What does it do?
Thanks, Tom. So Nium is a global account-to-account real-time payment platform. So imagine like a global contractor based in Argentina being paid his salary monthly. Imagine a ride-hailing driver being paid instantly after a trip. Imagine a host of a renting property being paid quickly, or somebody moving remittances, which will ensure the fact that there's food to be put on table. All that infrastructure, which is collecting money, doing direct debits across markets, doing FX, settling the money to the beneficiary as per the time, that's us, right? Like, forget about all the thing about payment infrastructure, etc. We just make people happy by receiving their money on time. Like, I think that's the simplest way to think about it.
Keeping people happy globally. I like the sound of that. Nium is obviously, as you just said, a truly global organization now. Would it have had the speed of success that you've enjoyed if you hadn't started off in Singapore in the early days?
Yeah, and I think it's a phenomenally good question. And my early days was all about struggles. And I think somewhere Singapore ecosystem helped the struggles become a bit lesser, right? Like I was a first-time founder, never worked in tech, was building a startup in an industry which I had no clue about, which was payments, right?
Wow.
So a lot of my early days was working with the Singapore ecosystem, understanding it. In a way, the Singapore ecosystem was very warm, friendly. And I actually moved from some markets where people were asking me for some level of sweat equity if they give us some advice. And when I walked into Singapore, it was like, oh, what help do you need? How can you help? So the regulator was extremely progressive. The ecosystem, though very small, had, founders meeting up, talking, wanting to help and support.
Yeah.
Right. And, I keep joking about it. There's something in the Singapore air. Whenever I land in Singapore, I always feel that there is nothing I cannot do when I am in that city. So it just makes me more bullish towards life.
I mean, Singapore was founded on the principle of free trade. You know, free trade it's a port or a trading port. The movement of goods was really important. I think that's kind of reflected now in their current attitude of the movement of information, the movement of money as a goods or whatever. And so that sort of generosity of help and support, your success, resulting in your success, means their success as well. It's a continuation of that freedom of movement and freedom of business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I always think that our success is not standalone. For me, I want 10 Niums to come out of Singapore, right? Like I want our success to be imbibed by so many people, right? Like, and it is amazing that I go back to Singapore, a lot of people will say, hey, we want to create the same paths. And I think that's what more I want out of the ecosystem. And it's not people finding one successful, I don't want to be the only diamond in the rough. I want this diamond shards to create multiple more diamond shards in the market, right? And it is very much possible because the ecosystem in Singapore is phenomenally amazing.
So, given Nium's global growth, the volumes of money that you're moving around, what is it that would keep you awake at night?
Right now, we are in a place that in an incredibly good place where we've got all the ducks in the row, and basically, we need to do is take a deep breath, aim, and shoot, and hit that, right? This is not a place where everyone gets to. It's the overwhelming sense of that if we screw up from where we are right now, it's all on me. It's not on the market. It's not on the people. It's not on the incredible 900 colleagues we have who are so amazing that I tend to work harder for them, for all of us to have a great success. So I think it's that piece which kind of keeps me really awake.
What unique skills did Singapore give you access to? What resources and support did it offer specifically? I mean, it was access to a technical market, access to people, for instance.
one amazing thing about Singapore is that because it's a hub for Southeast Asia, you've got some of the largest banks with their HQs there. You've got some of the largest payment companies like Stripe, Adyen, PayPal, all HQ'd there. So the talent workforce in a place like Singapore is fairly concentrated, right? Like when I said I want to do a B2B payments platform people knew what I was saying. So one, you had all these nucleuses of payment companies, banks, financial institutions as a hub, which creates a great talent pool who want to interact. Again, because we are a financial service business, it's an extremely progressive regulator. It is probably one of the only regulators which went back to the books and changed their whole Payment Services Act. They realized the Payment Services Act was very old and completely redefined the Payment Services Act, accepting things like blockchain and crypto being part of this. I think Nium wouldn't be where it is if I would have set up the company anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, they often say that the Singapore regulators, they finished the race while other countries are still tying up their shoes.
And if you look at what they've done, right, like even as small as bringing a chief fintech officer as a role, so I think 5-6 years back, they were way ahead of anybody.
You mentioned about the USA, and you've now effectively you've headquartered in the USA, I understand. So, is there? You're still benefiting, one would hope, from being in Singapore as well. But is that ability to work between those two hubs? Is that easy?
Right.
Are there challenges there?
So our headquarters is still Singapore. We will never move our headquarters out. As you can imagine, I have investors who have pressured me saying we should move it to a Cayman Island or a BVI as we think about going public. I have put my feet down and I will keep putting my feet down. So now we have 3 core hubs. We have San Francisco, we have London, and we have Singapore. And these 3 hubs basically run the business. One of the reasons I moved here was to push Nium to a path of going public. We want to go public on the US stock market. That made a lot of sense for us because some of the other stock markets in, say, Asia, etc., are very nascent. They're still coming up to companies like us. So Indians have this concept called Janam Bhumi, which is where you are born, right? So I'm born and raised in India, but there is a concept we have called Karam Bhumi, which is what makes you in your life, right? For me, that is Singapore.
You're involved in a group called FinTech Bolt, which is it's a generator. It's a place that allows companies and gives companies the ability to grow. What is your involvement in that? What are you looking at there at the moment?
So if you think about our journey, right, like we didn't have anyone to help support, work with, or do any of those things when we were kind of learning everything, on the go. So what we wanted to do is help kind of create an ecosystem or an environment where people can ask questions, right? We have, one of the smartest CTOs across the globe, who has built incredible products at Microsoft, Google, etc. Imagine somebody who's building a product has the ability to shoot a question to him and get an answer back and things like that, right? Like, I think that's something which I really, really want to create within the ecosystem.
If looking back, is there one thing you'd have done differently as regards your sort of nascent stages while you're in Singapore? Is there one thing that you would have worked with them differently or done something differently?
I really want to work closely with universities. That entrepreneurship is still frowned upon. Is like that needs to be inculcated at the college level to be able to kind of drive that, right? Like I want more and more entrepreneurs to come back, right? I want people to hassle me on LinkedIn saying I'm building this in Singapore and I need your help and guidance. And that's what I think we need to do more of. I think a lot of our larger founders, right, like need to spend more time with earlier stage companies. And guess what? Failures don't matter. So I want to kind of say that, oh, you failed. That's not a failure. You learned something. Now let's go build the next one.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I just want to kind of create that environment.
Brilliant. Prajit, thank you so much for your insights, and I wish you the very best of success in the future. It sounds like it's already there, but thank you so much for your time and for telling us all about your experiences with Nium and Singapore.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Byron.
And thank you for watching. Visit Singapore EDB online to learn more. And for more stories about the tech revolution, subscribe to our newsletter and check out our other VB in Conversation videos at venturebeat.com.